we had, a presidential nominee, Donald Trump, call us a high IQ individuals over the weekend. And he said, it's a marvel of a technology. So obviously, the industry rejoiced it, right? And it's not the first time as an industry we've been asking for regulations since 2017. The first time around, the debate around security versus utility tokens came up. But this is the first time a presidential candidate has put it on his agenda. And we've been hearing that Kamala Harris is also putting a team together on it.
Gensler caves in. We do ETFs. Paul's loaded the boat on this. He's got a 501k. But the bottom line is regulation to do what?
Regulation to recognize it as a separate asset class. The way Coinbase is a U.S. publicly traded company, give other exchanges like Deribit, Binance US a platform to, do regulated business, compliant business here in the US.
Paul, jump in here because I got like 14 questions.
Go on.
Why hasn't that happened? Why? And I guess you guys, you being the industry, are looking at it as some form of legitimacy.
Yeah.
Why hasn't it happened?
The reason it hasn't happened is because every now and then, even the funds that are trying to trade these assets, we get a consult from our, law firms that SEC could deem this as a security, right? So if any token that's not like, let's say, top 10,000 could get deemed as a security, we have to change our filings,
let me go back to basics here. If I bought this dog like Matt Miller at $50,000 and I unload it today at $69,000, do I report that to the IRS and do I pay a short or long-term capital gain?
It depends on when you bought it and depends on where you're buying it and depends on how long you're planning on holding the gain on it.
Is there a risk that the U.S., if it has a leadership position, is it at risk of losing it?
It does have a position in crypto because all the Bitcoins that have been seized over the years, and both Senator Cynthia Lumen, former President Trump have said, look, we'll continue building on this reserve and we'll hold it in the market instead of like selling it to the market. And this, we'll treasure it as one of like our national assets. And he went as far as saying that we'll bring mining, minting, all of the ecosystems, to US. If anyone has followed the space enough, years ago it was China leading mining Bitcoin, and now it's kind of dispersed. So for a presidential candidate to come as far in his narrative, yes, that's...
You called an asset class, you want it to be equity-like, but a separate digital asset. We looked at a 10-year Microsoft piece today, 3.5% yield. You get a coupon, you get your money back in 2035. We're going to get tech earnings this week. Everybody's going to go mental about free cash flow and all that. Where's the underlying cash flows of Bitcoin, or is it basically a gold equivalent?
It's going to be a gold equivalent, but the main reason for us to push for legislation is like what happens when tokenized assets come into play, right? We're saying that, take any piece of an asset, tokenize it, give everyone a chance to own it. BlackRock has been very active on this, front. Like they built a fund called Biddle. They acquired, they invested in a company that could tokenize funds, tokenized, private equity markets, tokenized traditional assets. That's the long run we're looking for.